Welcome to the Tony Freda Show. This is another emergency transmission, part two. As this Third World War starts to spiral out of control, I'll be making updates as things on the ground change. So far, it's going from bad to worse. We have a development, two developments. The Ukraine war is merging with the Iran war in an unholy union, which is going to expand into a global, maybe thermonuclear war, if I'm right, and I hope to God I'm wrong. Ukraine's bombing Iranian ships and bombing oil tankers. And so now these two wars have merged. This is how war goes. It's unpredictable. You got two wars going on. You got the Iran war with Iran against Israel and America, and you have obviously the Ukraine-Russian war. They're merging into one giant conflagration. Another fun thing happened. The Selective Service System is running a computer simulation to test scenarios for a national military draft. Now, I told you if you watched the last broadcast that they're going to need a draft if they go in for a ground invasion. They don't have enough troops. It's called the Readiness Simulation Project. And it comes as the U.S. is about to change the entire draft system. In 2025, Trump signed a law altering the Military Selective Service Act to automatically register men aged 18 to 26 for a national draft beginning on December 19th, 2026. Good timing. Now, it's not just us. The same thing at the same time is happening in New Zealand, Australia, France, Germany, Sweden, the UK, and Canada. So this is a globally orchestrated preparation for a much larger war. All these countries wouldn't be altering their draft policies at the same time unless they know something we don't know. And they always do. That's why we got to do the stuff that I'm doing, trying to war game it and trying to make sense of it, try to read the tea leaves. I'm not saying I have some pipeline to the truth, but if you study history, like I have, not a historian, but I study history to try to understand what they're going to do next. And to study ponerology is studying how society becomes evil because it's ruled by evil people, because they don't present themselves evil. They always say it's for the greater good and they care about humanity. These are sociopaths and psychopaths who look at us like we're an inferior species that needs to be culled and managed like livestock. So very interesting. Talk about something I am an expert at is symbolism through visual representation of ideas. So everybody knows this symbol. This is the symbol of the American military, right? You have the eagle and a thunderbolt. Anybody ever wonder why there's a thunderbolt with that eagle? Now, the real symbolism of an eagle with a thunderbolt is it's the eagle of Jupiter or Zeus. And I'll tell you why. Because the legend of Ganymede. Now, Ganymede was this beautiful Trojan prince. He was supposed to be the most beautiful boy in the world. And Zeus, was like a divine pederast. He wanted this beautiful boy. He wanted him on Mount Olympus, right? So the legend goes he either had an eagle grab this kid by the talons and bring him to Mount Olympus so he could be his little cupbearer, and or he turned him into an eagle. So when you see an eagle with the thunderbolts, that's not a nice little eagle. That's the eagle of Zeus. And that symbolizes pederasty. And what it means is that the organizations that use that symbol are saying, we control your children. If we want to grab them with talons and bring them to our clutches and do whatever we want with them, we're going to do it. We have the power. We're telling you this through these symbols, that the government or any agency that has a symbol has the power to do whatever they want with your children. Now that dovetails with the military draft, which is the government saying, we're going to do whatever we want with your children, right? We're going to take them, put them in a meat grinder in a war that has nothing to do with defending this country. And it has to do with this Greater Israel Project or God knows what. I mean, there's even higher, machinations and designs they have for this war. One of them is like World War I was a mass human sacrifice ritual, a demonic ritual in death and destruction and blood offered to Satan. That's what it was. This is an echo of that. That's why you study history. There was no tactical or logistical or even geopolitical reason for World War I. It was a mass exercise in human misery and death and blood. And the devil was very happy with that one. And we're being sleptwalked into this new one. And it all goes back to Ganymede and these pederastic cults that took over ancient Greece. Pederasty is different than pedophilia because pederasty is this, the pederasts look at it like it's a symbiotic relationship, right? Like it's not just having sex with children for the sexual pleasure of it. It's an exchange, right? The pederast is an older man. He's usually homosexual, but not always. And he believes that he's going to get what he wants from this kid, but in exchange, he's going to teach him the ways of the world. He's going to teach him about philosophy. He's going to educate him. So there's a quid pro quo. It's not all one-sided in the mind of the pederast. You might have to ask the recipients what they think of it. But people like Caesar and Caligula were both parts of this system. Caesar was pawned off to his uncle Marius, who was a king at the time, and he had a pederastic dynamic with his uncle. Caligula was put into a military camp where these military guys had their way with him, and he was supposed to be getting military training in exchange. So you wonder why these guys become a little psychologically disordered. There's a reason for it. And then you can go into the Middle Ages, and they had the page, knight, squire system, the Knights Templar, the Jesuits. It also, there's Buddhist traditions of this, there's Islamic traditions, Afghan dancing boys. So this is like a worldwide, global historic tradition of pederastic systems underpinning military. There's military pederastic systems, governmental pederastic systems. It's an education system. It's in and of course we saw that expressed in the Epstein Island stuff and the Catholic Church, and in the Navy they had these cabin boys. I mean, it goes on and on and on. But this idea that the government can do whatever it wants with your children was codified in the modern era. 1806, Napoleon defeats the Prussian army at Jena. And he looked around and he saw that the Prussian system was a pretty good system in his mind, because they were training through their education system children to be obedient workers and soldiers. They didn't care about them having an education and becoming well-informed and competent. No, they wanted obedient workers, obedient soldiers. That's the whole system was designed for. Not to edify these young people, but to indoctrinate them into a system where they are going to be used as cannon fodder or for whatever other purposes the pederastic systems had in mind. So the other thing that happened after 1806, Napoleon adopts the Prussian education system. But they also, the Rothschilds make their fortune during this time. And the Rothschilds, the name Rothschild in German means red shield. Now, the Romans used red shields. And every war, if you look into it, every war since 1806, the Rothschilds are funding both sides of it with their immense fortune they made at this time. They became the funders of war, and they realized how much money there is to make in war. So they basically, war is their industry. Funding wars, funding both sides, selling the weapons. I mean, it's a way to exploit the worst of human nature and governmental systems, playing the great game. There's a mob that runs the world, and it's not La Cosa Nostra. This mob is the military occult banking system. And the top OG are the Rothschilds. The top gangsters, the Godfathers, are the lovely Rothschilds and their red shield of blood. That's what their red symbolizes. And we've seen nothing but a ocean of blood streaming and flowing from 1806 till now. World War I was the most ghastly expression of it. But I really believe we're on the cusp of another World War I type event, a mass human sacrifice ritual. But now we have 5G warfare, so it's going to be even more horrific in some ways. But more stealthy too. Like things like cyber attacks can destroy a civilization now that we're so dependent on technology. We won't be able to do anything because everything's relying on electricity now. So, I mean, they've war gamed this. It's just a couple of weeks with no electricity, and people start to do things like eat each other. They know what's going to happen. They war gamed it out. Just like COVID, they knew exactly what we were going to do, how to get us all terrified. So we would take the clot shots and rat out our neighbors and give up our rights and agree with censorship. And they played us like fiddles. But I see the buildup for this next one, and this is going to be bigger than COVID, bigger than World War I. Now, just to play devil's advocate, there is one alternative theory I have of how this thing war games out. And that's that maybe, this is a maybe. I mean, I think at this point, Trump is either compromised by Mossad with Epstein stuff, he's got dementia, or he's got some sort of mind control, or he's being poisoned electromagnetically, or he's demon possessed. I don't know. This is obviously speculation because I can't get inside this guy's orange head. I don't know if I want to. We know he's a narcissist and megalomaniac. I mean, we've always known that. So that's not like surprise. But his betrayal of 10 years of telling his base that America first is going to be my platform, ending the wars, these wars are stupid. He said it hundreds of times in speeches. And the end of regime change war. And now he starts this war. Now he says he doesn't care about Americans and he just cares about Israel and this war. Now, people who know Trump, I knew his brother, and I asked his brother. This was during the first time for Trump's first term. I was in Robert's kitchen in the morning drinking Bloody Marys with him. He was a great guy. The opposite of Trump personality-wise. He was very sort of calm and reserved and humble. But he looked like his brother. So I'm in his kitchen drinking Bloody Marys with Robert, and phone rings. And it's the President of the United States. And he's on a landline talking to the President of the United States. And he gets off the phone. His brother was Trump's best friend, like the only guy he really trusted in the world. They were very close. And I asked him, I said, I just got to ask you, Robert, like, why did he run for president? And he goes, I ask myself that all the time. He said, he had the best life. Speaking of his brother, he had the best life anyone I've ever seen. Everybody loved him. He had billions of dollars. He could do whatever he wanted, play golf, go anywhere in the world, do anything he wanted. And now, like, half the world hates him, was trying to kill him, and 24 hours a day at the time, it was just relentless character attacks, racist, misogynist, homophobic, and on and on and on. And he said, and all these powerful entities were trying to destroy him at the time, because at that time he seemed to be challenging the globalists and their plan for a technocratic takeover of the world. So he was like a fly in their ointment, so they had to destroy him. Now, at this time, obviously, he's completely flipped for whatever reason. That's up to speculation. But he's completely flipped his lid, and he's completely flip-flopped on everything he promised. But he's still very concerned with his legacy. People who know him intimately say that's the most important thing to him. So, and he's always had had this desire to have a peace prize. He's talked openly about it. So maybe, this is my Tony Frieda theory, maybe he's making a deal with the Iranians where the end game is for him to present Iran as a nuclear threat to the world, get right to the precipice of nuclear war, say Iran was just about to blow up the world, and he came in and saved them and nuked the Iranians' program and saved the world from nuclear apocalypse by destroying Iran's nuclear capabilities, because he talks about that a lot. Even though they don't have delivery systems to reach further than Europe. So even if they had a nuclear bomb, they have the whole world watching every move they make. I don't think they'd be able to get off the ground. But if they did, the furthest delivery system would be the outskirts of Europe. They have no way of reaching the United States. Those people think they're going to bomb the United States with a nuke. Like, it's impossible. They don't have delivery systems to go that many thousands of miles. So that's the best case scenario. That's the best I got, that maybe Trump is making some deal with them behind the scenes where he poses as a savior of humanity, the great Lord Emperor Trump, imagining himself as Zeus and Jesus. Like, remember he posted himself as Jesus, and then he just lied and said he didn't. Oh, this is a doctor. Like, I never saw a doctor dressed like Jesus. Did you? So again, these symbols are telling us something. This is the eagle of Zeus. This is the symbol of the American military. Remember the story of Ganymede and read history. It's fascinating. But most importantly, it helps you understand that history doesn't repeat, but it rhymes. And if you understand and decode the way the elites talk to us with their symbology, and they have these game plans that they've used for thousands of years, they don't really have any new ones. They just recycle the old ones. So you can kind of war game where they're going to go next. And I'm praying that my second theory is right for the sake of humanity, because everything is saying they're coming for a draft, and we have to do not comply with this draft. Do not send your sons and daughters to die in this meat grinder for some satanic mass human sacrifice ritual. I'm begging you, please. There's no benefit to America to this war. This is some sort of egotistic megalomaniac nightmare that Bibi and Trump dreamed up. And we shouldn't be any part of it, except to say it's wrong and we need to stop it now with all of our power and all of our might. There's more of us than them. I have faith in the courage of humanity and in well, not most of them, but enough. There's enough of you brave people out there to squawk loud enough to get people to understand what the hell is going on, so we can stop these maniacs from destroying the world. All right, that's my rant for today. I'll keep you updated as the situation on the ground develops. God bless.